Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so that you never miss any video lesson from Rao's IAS Study Circle. Join the official Telegram channel of Rao's IAS Study Circle to stay updated and get all the materials on the Telegram. The link to the channel can be found in the description box.
Hello and welcome to Daily News Simplified, an answer to what, why, and how of newspaper reading from UPSC Civil Services examination perspective. Today, let us take up the New Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper dated 15th October 2022. These are the list of the news for today's discussion, and their timestamp has also been provided in the YouTube description. So, on this note, let's start our today's discussion on important news. Let's take up this news appearing in the editorial section on page number 10. And this news is regarding the death of children which has taken place in Gambia because they consumed cough syrup which were produced in India. And because of this, WHO, that is World Health Organization, has also issued a warning. And based on this, the Government of India has also constituted a technical committee to look into the matter. So we need to understand this news from two perspectives or two dimensions. The first dimension is regarding science and technology. Now here we will discuss about the impurities or the contamination in the cough syrup which led to the death of children. And the second dimension is to understand the role of regulatory bodies and also the concerns. So India's drug regulator, namely the Central Drugs Standard Control Organization, derives its power under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act of 1940. So here it highlights that under the Drug and Cosmetics Act, the regulation of manufacture, sale and distribution of drugs is mainly the concern of state authorities, whereas the central authorities are responsible for approval of new drugs, clinical trials in the country, laying down standards for drugs, control over the quality of imported drugs, coordination of the activities of state drug control organizations, and also to provide expert advice with a view to bring about uniformity in the enforcement of the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. So these are the regulatory requirement with respect to approval of drug. And the drug which is in question here was manufactured by a Haryana based company, namely Maiden Pharmaceuticals. Now, because of consumption of cough syrup produced by Maiden Pharmaceuticals, it has resulted in death of children in Gambia because of alleged kidney failure or because of its impact on kidney of children. Now, to understand that why this happened, we need to understand the ingredients which is used in the cough syrup. Now, paracetamol does not dissolve in water. So, PG or propylene glycol is used as a solvent to make cough syrup. So, the use of propylene glycol in the cough syrup, it results in creation of two impurities. These are diethylene glycol, which is also referred as DEG, or ethylene glycol or EG. And these are colorless and viscous liquid having a sweet taste. And it is assumed that it is these impurities, that is DEG and EG, which is affecting the kidneys of children. Now the Government of India has stated that it is still awaiting the report from WHO, which can directly link the death of children due to presence of impurities, namely DEG, in the cough syrup. However, the Government of India has also constituted a technical committee to find out whether use of propylene glycol as a solvent results in creation of impurities, namely diethylene glycol or DEG and ethylene glycol or other impurities which may affect the health of the children, leading to their death. So there are two concerns. One, on the scientific side, is the use of solvent propylene glycol, and the concern on the regulatory side is lack of regulation or pharmaceutical companies not following the norms, particularly for the manufacturing of drugs. Now here what we need to understand is the usage of unregulated DEG. And it is here where the role of central and state drug regulator becomes important or rather questionable. So it says that regarding the impurities, since paracetamol does not dissolve in water, drug makers use solvent propylene glycol to make the cough syrup, and this solvent has DEG and EG as impurities. So the concern is that the final product having these impurities are not tested. Now, another reason for unregulated use of propylene glycol and also the impurities, namely DEG, is the fact that propylene glycol is less expensive, is easily available in the market, and also these pharmaceutical companies at times do not test the final product which contains these impurities, namely DEG or EG, because the machine which is used to test the final product is very expensive and comes at around 15 to 20 lakhs. So the pharmaceutical companies are either supposed to have these machines in the labs, or they are supposed to outsource the test at some other place where these machines are available. So it highlights that rampant availability of commercial grade propylene glycol, which is less expensive, and cost for testing is very high. So the pharmaceutical companies skip these testing. And every drug firm is mandated to test propylene glycol for diethylene glycol and other impurities before the solvent is used for cough syrups. However, the machine which tests them is very expensive, and hence the companies at times skip these tests to cut down their manufacturing cost. Now, other concerns highlighted in the article is that the products of the Maiden Pharmaceutical Company, which produced those cough syrups, were banned in Kerala and were also highlighted by the government of Tamil Nadu because of its substandard quality. However, despite this, the company was selling its product by marketing the same formulation under different names. So the concern here is lack of enforcement of laws by the drug regulator. The next concern is that despite strict regulations on manufacture of these spurious and contaminated drug under the provisions of Drugs and Cosmetics Act, little has been done against gross violation done by companies. And because these pharmaceutical companies are not penalized, hence they continue to use these contaminated drugs, which also affects the lives of people, including children. Another concern is that early responses from India's health establishment has not been encouraging, especially after the death of children in Gambia. And another point which raises a concern is that the drugs were only cleared to be exported to Gambia but was not cleared for sale in India. Now, this further raises the issue of impartiality of the role of drug regulator in India, because the export of the cough syrup was allowed, however its sale in India was not allowed. Another set of concern is that despite punishment provided under the Cosmetics Act, which provides for 10 years of imprisonment and fine up to rupees 10 lakhs, it has neither deterred the companies from such gross violations, nor has the regulator acted against those companies on contamination of drugs with impurities such as DEG affecting the lives of children. So despite the punishments which has been provided under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act, it has not created a deterrent effect on the pharmaceutical companies, also because of its lack of implementation. Now, another set of concern is that it becomes very difficult to prove in the court that the products or the impurities are directly responsible for the deaths. So these can be said to be some of the concerns which has been highlighted with respect to the use of spurious drugs, which also affects lives of people, including children. So the question remains as to what needs to be done. On the scientific side, solvents needs to be developed other than propylene glycol, because use of propylene glycol results in impurities, namely DEG and EG, which impacts the kidney of children, resulting to their death. So there is a need to develop another solvent which is dissolvable in water to make these cough syrups. And also the government must mandate testing impurities in the final product. So it says that as of now, the drug makers are required to test only raw materials. However, guidelines must be issued by the government to test the final products for impurities of DEG or any other impurities if propylene glycol is used as solvent. Now, the next recommendations regarding the regulatory or governance aspect is that there's a need to address the shortage of staffs by the drug regulator, especially at the level of state. So it highlights an example of Haryana, where mere 10 drug inspectors are there to inspect manufacturing units in 22 districts. So not only efficiency becomes a problem, but also law enforcement becomes difficult. Another set of suggestion is the need for proper training for the professionals, namely drug inspectors, to help them to identify these important ingredients which may affect the lives of citizens, and hence they need to be properly trained to identify these spurious or adulterated drugs which is used by different manufacturing firms. So according to a former drug controller of Haryana, after the recruitment of drug inspectors, at least 18-month training should be given to them, along with a mandatory exit test after training before they goes into the field for inspection. So these are some of the recommendations provided at the level of governance. Now, the death of children in India because of consumption of DEG as an impurity in cough syrup is not new and has been reported now and then. And in the present case, WHO has also highlighted the role of DEG in the death of children. Now, as of now, Government of India awaits a report from WHO directly linking the deaths of children because of presence of DEG as impurities in the cough syrup. Now, having said that, it's important for India's drug regulator to ensure its impartiality and independence with respect to approval of new drugs and also laying down standard for drugs. Further, there should also be uniformity regarding regulation of manufacture, sale and distribution of drugs which is consumed by people, and the government must ensure that no such ingredients is used by the pharmaceutical companies which may lead to serious conditions, even leading to death of citizens. Thus, this editorial becomes important both from the perspective of science and technology and also from the perspective of regulatory bodies. Now let's take up the lead article appearing on page number 10, and this article is with respect to the role of women in the livestock sector of Indian agriculture. So this article highlights that do not ignore the role of women livestock farmer. Now October 15, which is today, it is celebrated every year as International Day of Rural Women. And it is in this regard, this article goes into the role of women as a livestock farmer and the various concerns which a women livestock farmer faces in her lifetime. Now in this regard, you should also know about the importance of livestock sector for the Indian agriculture. Now this is one of the most rapidly growing component of rural economy, and it contributes 5% towards national income and 28% of agricultural GDP. So the livestock sector is an important component of Indian agriculture and particularly the rural economy. And its importance can be gauged from the fact that it provides food such as milk, meat, eggs, etc. So it also provides nutritious food to the rural sector. It provides fiber and skins which can be traded in the market such as wool, hair, hides. Now still, bullocks are used in agricultural purposes, particularly to plow the field. So the usage of livestock is also towards agriculture. It also provides for manure, which is also used as fuel such as biogas or dung cakes. And the livestock can be used during times of financial emergency. For example, a farmer can sell his goat or his cow so that he can get some immediate cash. So these can be said to be some of the importance of livestock sector in the rural economy. And overall, we can say that it helps to improve the income of farmers. Livestock sector provides employment to farmers, it ensures food security, and having animals also gives social status in villages. So these can be said to be the importance of livestock sector. And women in India plays an important part with respect to the livestock sector of Indian agriculture. Now talking about the concerns with respect to role of women in livestock sector or livestock rearing, the first major point highlighted here is that women engaged in livestock sector or livestock raising are not visible to policymakers, and hence their contributions are not recorded. Now one of the major reason is that looking after the livestock or raising the livestock is often considered as a regular duty of the women, or it is considered as a part of their domestic work, and hence it is not accounted for by the policymakers. So based on this, the second concern is problems in data collection and also sporadic nature of work which is undertaken by women, especially regarding raising of livestock at shorter spells. And because women do not consider this as a part of agriculture and they consider it more as a part of their domestic work, Hence, most women do not report livestock raising or livestock rearing as an economic activity to the policymakers. Now, let us understand this through certain statistics. Now, according to the Employment and Unemployment Survey of 2011-12, there were approx 12 million women who were involved in livestock raising. However, the real number was 4 times this particular number. So it means that more than 45 million women involved in livestock raising, and this was highlighted through the National Time Use Survey of 2019. Now, this time use survey also calculated some of the sporadic work or sporadic nature of work which were taken up by women with respect to livestock rearing. For example, if a woman spent 2 hours of the day with respect to livestock rearing, then this particular time was also taken for. This time would differ for some other woman. For example, some other woman has engaged 5 hours of her work for livestock rearing, then this 5 hours was also accounted for. So based on this measurement, based on National Time Use Survey of 2019, it recorded all activities done by women in last 24 hours. And according to this survey, 11% of the rural women were found to be involved in the raising of livestock sector, which accounted for 48 million women, roughly 4 times this statistics. So 48 million women were engaged in livestock rearing. Further, according to the National Livestock Policy of 2013, it suggested to improve livestock production and productivity. And it also highlighted that 70% of the labor involved in livestock raising were women. So in a way, the National Livestock Policy of 2013 gave a correct estimate of involvement of women in the livestock sector. And this also led to overall empowerment of women, as it was also one of the policy goal of the National Livestock Policy. Now, the National Livestock Mission of 2014 provided for availability of feed and fodder for the livestock. It provided for improved flow of credit and also extension services. And for improved flow of credit, state government had to allocate 30% of fund from centrally sponsored scheme for women. So this in a way also provided certain credit directly to women involved in raising livestock. Now, apart from these two concerns, the other concerns are reach of extension services, especially with respect to livestock rearing, remains scarce for women farmers. As also there is lack of information for women on livestock farming. Another set of concern is that women from poor households find it difficult to take loans to purchase livestock. Now, this is because they are unable to provide any sort of collateral to the banks, and because of lack of credit, they are not able to purchase livestock. Now, the central government provided 15 lakhs new Kisan credit cards, particularly to livestock farmers. However, it does not highlight as to how much credit was provided to women livestock farmers, and hence data on women is missing. Another set of concern for women livestock farmers is that they lack specific knowledge regarding rearing of animals, particularly with respect to their knowledge of the breeds and also regarding their veterinary care. And women farmers are also not aware about various functions of dairy boards, and it has been observed that men exercise decision making even in women-only dairy cooperatives. So there is a need for women empowerment, particularly at women-only dairy cooperatives. And it is often the case that voices of women, particularly from poor households, are not heard or very seldom heard. So in the backdrop of these concerns, the article highlights that women labor is very important, or rather critical, to the livestock sector or livestock economy. And women should be included in every stage of decision making and development of the livestock sector, as it is an important component of rural economy and Indian agriculture. So this article highlighting the importance of women in the livestock sector becomes important from the perspective of GS paper 3 regarding economics of animal rearing, and also GS paper 1 regarding role of women in Indian society. Now, broadly, this topic also covers the aspect of feminization of Indian agriculture. and provisions regarding feminization of Indian agriculture have been provided in the PDF, from which you can go through the issue of feminization of Indian agriculture. With this, let's take up the next news for discussion. Now let's take up this news appearing on page number 10. And this news is with respect to the importance of deep technologies and also lack of strategic fund in India. So this article highlights the importance of use of deep technology, as the deep technology combines various aspects of innovation including artificial intelligence, use of robotics, use of synthetic biology, where organisms are redesigned, and its application is in the field of medicine, agriculture and also manufacturing. Further, it also utilizes blockchain technology, quantum computing, nanotechnology, etc. So overall, deep technology can be said to be bringing together three important aspects, namely that of science, engineering and design thinking, that is design science. And by bringing together these different components, deep technology aims to solve the existing problems, that is those problems which are not yet solved despite innovation in technology. It aims to advance the innovation cycle and also improve quality of life. So in this article, let us understand some of the salient features with respect to deep technology and also the concerns which has been highlighted in this particular article. So this topic becomes important from the perspective of GS paper 3 regarding science and technology. So first of all, let us understand the salient features of deep technology. The first point is that it is a new chapter in innovation, bringing together science, engineering and also design thinking or design science. So when these different technological advancements such as artificial intelligence, use of robotics, synthetic biology, nanomaterial, blockchain, quantum computing, etc. are combined with each other, and when they are blended with engineering and design science, this blending is leading to new gateways in frontiers of technology. And with the help of deep technologies, we are able to address those challenges or those problems which yet remain unsolved. So one of the main focus of deep technology is its application to solve the unresolved problems faced by industry by relying on an ecosystem which accelerates the innovation cycle by using different technologies such as biotechnologies or robotics or artificial intelligence, etc. So the idea is to advance the innovation cycle by combining different aspects of technological innovations. Now, one of the major concerns on the use of deep technology in the present time is its long gestation period. That is, it is taking longer time to yield result, and because of this, a lot of money is being invested for this purpose. And hence it requires a lot of funding for a sustained period of time. Hence it says that these technologies can have big impact but can take a long time to reach market ready maturity and hence require a substantial amount of capital. It is this substantial amount of capital which is lacking in India, but the other countries like United States, United Kingdom or Israel are providing funds for deep technologies by the respective state agencies or government agencies. So here it says that deep technologies require concentrated research and development to develop practical business or consumer applications. However, bringing them from lab to the market may take longer period of time and hence require substantial amount of capital. Now with such level of dedicated research, it either can create their own market or disrupt an existing market or an existing industry. And this is because the whole idea to use deep tech is to solve or to address big societal problems including environmental changes, innovations of new medicines to treat different diseases like cancers or even Alzheimer's. And these innovations in due course of time will also help to address most pressing global problems including health issues and also poverty. So these can be said to be some of the salient features of deep technology. Now this article highlights that India is lagging behind in deep technology both in terms of technological innovation and also in terms of government support. So it highlights that India lacks dedicated pool of funds for deep tech projects, but this is not the case in United States or UK. So giving an example, billions of dollars are funded through agencies such as DARPA of United States, which is Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. The Directorate of Defense Research and Development of Israel also provides funds to the deep technologies in their country, and even the Defense and Security Accelerator of United Kingdom provide funds to various agencies and startups for acceleration in deep technologies. However, such public funds in India are missing, particularly to support deep technologies. And it is here where it highlights that funding from the government is not easy, particularly with respect to deep technologies, despite schemes launched by Ministry of Defense such as iDEX, which is Innovations for Defense Excellence, or Technology Development Scheme. So let's go through the important highlights of both these schemes. Now, the objective of iDEX is to provide financial support to nearly 300 startups or MSMEs or even individual innovators and about 20 partner incubators through Defense Innovation Organization. And the scheme has been approved by Department of Defense Production under Ministry of Defense. And a budgetary support of close to 500 crores has been provided for the next 5 years from 21-22 to 25-26. Whereas under the Technology Development Fund scheme, which is executed by DRDO, that is Defense Research and Development Organization, it supports indigenous development of components, products, systems and technologies by MSMEs and startups, and for this purpose, rupees 50 crore per project has been allocated by the Ministry of Defense. So it provides a major fillip to the defense manufacturing sector, and this is done by encouraging the industry to innovate and develop defense technologies in order to place India on self-reliance trajectory. And the scheme facilitates up to 90% of the total project cost and also allows industry to work in consortium with another industry or academia. So the question remains as to what needs to be done in order to improve funding for deep technology projects. The first point highlighted is to utilize the CSR funds, especially those part which are unutilized. So it says that annual CSR budget is 15,000 crores, of which a substantial portion goes unutilized. And CSR has traditionally been utilized for social sector. So certain part of CSR funds can be diverted to the deep technology sector. And here it says that the growing corpus should also be used for development of strategic technology. The next 2 points suggest providing incentives both to large corporations and also high net worth individuals so that they can contribute towards the development of deep technologies in India. And regarding the high net worth individuals, the article says that they can be offered tax incentives to make equity investment in the critical technology startups which are of high risk, and only a certain part of their investment should be deductible for tax. The fourth point highlighted is to create qualifying criteria to prevent misuse of funds. So it highlights that the pool of investable companies must be limited to Government of India recognized startups. Startups should have a funding or acceptance of necessity granted from either Indian military or Ministry of Defense. So these are some of the suggestions which has been provided in order to improve funding for deep technologies in India. Apart from this, the Government of India can also create a dedicated fund for the deep technologies, especially regarding their application in a given field or application in a given area. And since deep tech tries to solve the unresolved problems, hence Government of India can provide a substantial amount towards development of such innovations. Thus, this article on deep technology becomes important, particularly from the perspective of science and technology under GS paper 3. Let's take up this news appearing on page number 14, and this news is about Global Hunger Index, which has released the latest ranking. And according to the latest ranking, India has been ranked in the serious category at 107, and the GHI score for India is 29.1. Now countries are given a score from 0 to 100, and a country having a score of 0 is considered to be the best country, that is, there is no problem of hunger in that country, whereas a country having a score of 100 can be said to be a country having extreme problem of hunger and malnourishment. And based on these score, the countries have been provided certain categories. So countries having score of 50 or more are categorized under the extremely alarming category. Countries whose score ranges from 35 to 49.9 have been categorized under the alarming category. Whereas countries having score from 20 to 34.9 is categorized as serious. And India has been placed under this particular category of serious because its score is 29.1. Whereas score from 10 to 19.9 are categorized as moderate, and score below 9.9 has been categorized as low. So according to the recent Global Hunger Index, India has been ranked at 107 having a score of 29.1. And this ranks India even below Sri Lanka ranked at 64, Nepal ranked at 81, Bangladesh ranked at 84 and Pakistan ranked at 99. And only Afghanistan is ranked lower than India at 109. So this represents an alarming situation regarding the Global Hunger Index, and the score is alarming for India because GHI or Global Hunger Index is calculated based on the score for undernourishment, child stunting, child wasting and child mortality. And if you can see in this particular map, 1/3 is considered for undernourishment, 1/6 for child stunting, 1/6 again for child wasting, and 1/3 for child mortality. And this gives an overall GHI score. And the data is provided by various recognized international institutions. For example, data for undernourishment is provided by UN Food and Agricultural Organization, that is FAO. Whereas data for child stunting is provided by UNICEF, WHO, World Bank, and also Demographic and Health Surveys Program. And data for child mortality is provided by UN Interagency Group for Child Mortality Estimation. And these are the 4 indicators, namely undernourishment, child stunting, child wasting and child mortality, which is calculated to have a GHI score or a score for Global Hunger Index. Now talking about undernourishment, it refers to a share of population with insufficient caloric intake. Whereas child stunting refers to share of children under the age of 5 years who have low height for their age, and this reflects chronic undernutrition because they are not growing with respect to their age. Another concern is child wasting. So it says that share of children under the age of 5 years who have low weight for their height. This also reflects acute undernutrition. Whereas child mortality refers to share of children who die before their 5th birthday, that is below 5 years, partly reflecting the fatal mix of inadequate nutrition and also unhealthy environments. So these are the 4 important parameters to calculate Global Hunger Index. And if we look at the scores for India and the various trends, then you can see with respect to this pink graph, which reflects prevalence of wasting in children under 5 years, wasting among children has increased as compared to 2014. And this situation becomes alarming as wasting refers to low weight of children for their height for children below 5 years of age. And this reflects acute undernourishment for a sizable population of Indian children who are below 5 years of age. Now regarding Global Hunger Index, it is a peer-reviewed annual report jointly published by Concern Worldwide and Welt Hunger Life. And it is designed to comprehensively measure and track hunger at the global, regional and country levels. The score of GHI is also calculated every year to assess progress and setbacks in combating hunger by different governments. And it also raises awareness regarding undernourishment, child stunting, child wasting and also child mortality. Thus this news becomes important both from the perspective of your prelims and mains examination, and in the mains gets covered under GS paper 2 regarding issues related to poverty and hunger.